Okay, the 10th, so it's either the 16th or the
No, that's
19th.
late.
And it's the
When I
19th.
first got that, I was like, I got one from swimming. I was like, the first time. Yeah. Sweet, congratulations. I saved them all.
Okay. We're gonna get started. You good? Okay. All right. You guys ready? Okay. All right.
Yes.
Cool. All right. All right. If you have a cell phone, if you could just check if it's on silent, we're gonna get started. All right. Ready? Good evening, everybody. This is a meeting of the Tinton Falls Borough Council being held on October 19th, 2021. This meeting is hereby called to order. Would the clerk please read the open public meeting statement?
Pursuant to Section 5 of the Open Public Meetings Act, adequate notice of this meeting has been provided by posting on the bulletin board at Borough Hall and by notification to the Asbury Park Press, the North Star Ledger, and the New Coaster at least 48 hours prior to the meeting.
Thank you. May I ask the clerk to call the roll, please?
Mrs. Clay?
Here.
Mr. Manginelli?
Yes.
Mr. Nessie?
Here.
Mr. Siebert?
Here.
Ms. Buckley?
Here. At this time, I'd like to invite everyone to join me in reciting the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. There's one set of meeting minutes for approval this evening. May I have a motion to approve the August 10th, 2021 regular meeting minutes?
Motion?
Second, okay, Mr. Manginelli. May I have a roll call, please?
Mrs. Clay?
Yes.
Mr. Manginelli?
Aye.
Mr. Nessie?
Yes.
Mr. Siebert?
Yes.
Ms. Buckley?
Yes. Now we'll move on to our reports. Our engineer, Mr. Neff, is not here this evening, so we will start with Mr. Fallon, our CFO and acting business administrator.
Thank you, Council President, and good evening. Just a couple items to report on. Happy to report that I had a very successful bond anticipation note sale last week. We issued $8.7 million in bond anticipation notes, receiving a net interest cost of 0.34%. So very happy with that, and it's certainly good news for the 2022 budget. One other item, there's two resolutions on for tonight authorizing grants applications to the Historical Commission of the county. I will be working with the Historic Society in the borough to get those grants filed for. Thank you.
Great. Thank you, Mr. Fallon. Mayor Perola, do you have a report this evening?
I just want to say that there's 2 weeks left to Election Day, and I would tell the public that they should go out and vote, because I really don't like the way things are going in this country. On the other hand, tell your friends, your relatives to get the go and vote. Vote. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor Perola. Mr. Starkey, our Director of Law.
I do not have a report tonight, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Ms. D'Annunzio, our Deputy Clerk.
No report tonight.
Great, thank you. Moving on to the council reports, and we'll start with Mrs. Clay.
Thank you, Council President. Just as an update, next week we have our Cannabis Subcommittee meeting. The second item that I'd like to mention is I would just like to take a moment to recognize our first responders, our police, fire, and EMS. Last week, there was a horrific accident in Tinton Falls, as most of you, I'm sure, know. And upon reflection, I feel like our first responders constantly rush into danger on a regular basis, and that they just deserve our recognition for all that they do to keep Tinton Falls safe. That's it.
Thank you, Mrs. Clay. Mr. Manginelli?
No report tonight, thank you.
All right, Mr. Siebert? Oh, sorry, skip Mr. Nessie, sorry.
Thank you, Council President. Good evening, everybody. Few things. I'll start with recreation. Pickleball courts. The acoustic fence that has been ordered, which provides the sound barrier at Wardell Park, it's been ordered. Currently, the park is open for play for tennis, pickleball, and basketball from 8:30 to 7:30 p.m. We're still working with the Community Pass to set up our reservation system for the tennis and pickleball courts, which has worked really well with other towns, and I see no difference for here. Our trunk or treat received an overwhelmingly great response. The event is for boys and girls ages 3 to grade 5 and or age 11 years old. Registration was required. We are reviewing our totals and revamping our logistics to increase our enrollment. Many of the surrounding towns' recreation departments have also required registration, limited attendance, and provided an activity for a given age group that they too have sold out. We also welcome additional vehicles wishing to enter the event to decorate their vehicles and to distribute candy to the participants. Finishing up our fall soccer program with final games of the season coming up, offering the players an opportunity to play under the lights against opposing teams. We are offering a senior art mixed media program through Kids Art. It'll be held on Tuesdays at the Borough Hall Community Room. Additional information is on the website and our Facebook page, at the Facebook page for the Recreation Department. We are working with Monmouth Regional High School wrestling coach and a few others to provide a youth wrestling program for boys and girls, kindergarten through grade 5. The program will be December, and we are awaiting confirmation from the high school and plan to get registration out. We are also in the process of coordinating our winter recreation basketball program for boys and girls in kindergarten through grade 8. Currently, we are set for 3 through 8th grade programs, as they use basketball rims at normal 10-foot range. We're also looking for options for our younger children for baskets that can be lowered to accommodate their needs. So that's recreation. Planning board. Last Wednesday, the planning board passed the preliminary and final major site plan for the construction of a flex and office space building located on Wayside Road. The applicant listened to the borough professionals and the board members' concerns, and they adjusted majority of their plan to follow the master plan as it is, requiring very little variance approvals. Of all the things that could be built, this flex space, in my opinion, is probably ideal for Tinton Falls. I think it fits well, and of all things that could have been there, this is a good thing. And that concludes my report.
Thank you, Mr. Nessie. Mr. Siebert, for your report.
I have no report in regards to the library. I'd like to thank Chief Skrvanek for allowing Officer Amarata to bring the pink Tinton Falls police car to the Susan G. Komen walk that was in Point Pleasant. It's good to recognize that and support those efforts to end breast cancer and those affected by it. So thank you to him and the police department.
Thank you, Mr. Siebert. I just have 2 items. The next Fort Monmouth Economic Revitalization Authority meeting, otherwise known as FEMERA, meets tomorrow at 5 p.m. They are still on conference calls. There is nothing related to Tinton Falls on the agenda, though. However, for those who are interested, the Howard Commons parcel, which is somewhat near here off of Pine Brook Road, is on the agenda for what they plan on doing with it, which, to my knowledge, is what Eatontown is looking forward to do. So I anticipate that will go through. And the next Tinton Falls Environmental Commission meeting is next Thursday, October 28th at 7:30, and it is a hybrid meeting. I'll also just mention for the regular attendees of these council meetings, in November we only have 1 meeting, so I believe it's the 2nd Tuesday of the month instead of the 1st and 3rd. The 3rd week is League of Municipalities, so that's typically why we have the 1 meeting in November. And that concludes my report. This evening, there are no ordinances for introduction, so that brings us to ordinances for final consideration. There is 1 ordinance for final consideration. We will hold a public meeting on this ordinance now, with comments being limited to 3 minutes, and comments for this public portion may only pertain to this ordinance. May I ask the clerk to read the title of the ordinance?
Ordinance 2021-1479, ordinance authorizing and regulating residents keeping backyard chickens pursuant to an amendment to Chapter 8, Animal Control, to add a new section to be entitled Backyard Chickens in Tinton Falls, and to amend Section 40-37 of the Land Use Regulations to allow the keeping of backyard chickens.
Thank you. May I have a motion to open the public discussion on this ordinance?
Motion.
Second.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Great. If there's anyone from the public that would like to comment, please remember to state your name and address for the record. Is there anyone that would like to comment on this ordinance? Yes, ma'am.
Hi, good evening. My name is Beverly Gruensfelder. I live at 36 Willow Road, Tinton Falls.
Good evening.
First of all, I want to thank you all for reopening Wardell Park for us pickleball players. We are an extremely...
So this is just the public comment portion pertaining to the chickens ordinance. We're going to have another.
I can't hear you.
This is the public comment hearing on the chickens ordinance.
Oh,
We're
sorry,
going to have
wrong
another.
one.
We're going to have another public comment section for general comments right after this.
Wrong one.
Okay.
I
Nope.
like chickens.
No problem. Does anyone here have a comment as pertains to the chickens ordinance? Okay. Doreen, were there any written comments submitted as pertains to the chickens ordinance?
No, we didn't receive any.
Okay. All right. May I have a motion to close the public hearing?
So moved.
Thank you. May I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Are there any council members that would like to comment on this ordinance before we adopt it?
I'd just like to thank all of you for all your comments, inputs, concerns that brought this day forth. I know it was, took a little longer, and we made a lot of revisions, and I believe everyone's concerns were substantiated and in this ordinance. So thank you all, and I really appreciate it.
Thank you. I agree. I learned a lot about chickens in the process.
Way more than I ever thought I would.
May I have a motion for adoption?
Motion.
Second.
Thank you. May I have a roll call?
Mrs. Clay?
Yes.
Mr. Minginelli?
Yes.
Mr. Nessie?
Yes.
Mr. Seaver?
Yes.
Ms. Buckley?
Yes. And Mr. Nessie, if you wanted to just comment on the next steps before we move on?
Sure. So this ordinance is for allowing a pilot program in Tinton Falls to allow 25 families to own up to 4 chickens on their property of a ½ acre or more. There's more details in the ordinance, but that's the baseline. With this, we have to create a chicken advisory board. And a few of the details we need for the chicken advisory board would be 6 members of the town serving a 2-year term appointed by the council, 1 member from the MCSBCA. The advisory board will meet at least once a month and give quarterly report to the liaison council. Board members are responsible for site checks in each of the pilot applications prior to beginning and during the program to make sure that the chicken coop is where it's supposed to be and follow the rules that were set forth in the ordinance. The advisory board will assist in supplying class information on raising backyard chickens. And during the summer, we had a chicken expert, if you will, explain how in other towns that she's helped change the ordinance to allow backyard chickens, many people have joined the classes and realized that maybe perhaps chickens weren't for them. So we will have, the advisory board will have to help supply the classes for residents who want to be part of the program. The board will also review applications with the applicant prior to submission. Anyone who wants to send an application can send it to Borough Hall. I don't know the details yet. I'm assuming it's to Melissa, is this right?
Borough Clerk's office.
The Borough Clerk's office. From there, when we have our 25 families, we'll move forward, and when we have the Chicken Advisory Board, that's when we'll go from there. If you have any questions, you can email the clerk's office or my email, and go from there.
Yes.
Anything else?
Yeah, so just to clarify, I don't think we're necessarily going to wait till have 25 families to admit.
No,
any,
you're
but-
right. I did say, so 25 families is the max right now. And
Yeah.
when we have the Chicken Advisory Board,
Then I think we'll provide a further update and report out
right,
at a future meeting when they're in place. Yep.
cool.
All right, thank you. Okay, now moving on to public discussion. May I have a motion to open the public discussion?
So moved.
Thank you. Have a second?
Second.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Hi.
Okay, great. Now, this is the time the public may comment on any topic of their choice. Please state your name and address for the record and limit your comments to 3 minutes. Yes.
So now it's on the chicken call.
Now it's on anything you want. Yeah.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Beverly Gruensfelder, Gruensfelder, 36 Willow Road, Tinton Falls. First of all, I want to thank you all for reopening Wardell Park for us avid pickleball players. We were really quite upset when we went to go play and found that our park was locked out. And I want to thank Risa, Clay, and others who were so responsive to our calls and our emails to have the park reopened for us. The park is now open in accordance to, I understand, noise ordinance guidelines, 8:30 in the morning till 7:30 at night. We would really like the evening hours to be extended to 8 p.m. if possible, because we do have an evening group that plays from 5:30 to 8 p.m. Some of the gentlemen don't get there before 6 or 6:30, and an hour just isn't enough time for them to get in a good workout. So we would like to have that time frame revisited for the evening hours. I know that Mr. Nessie had mentioned going to a possible reservation system as used in other boroughs. Let me tell you, I've played all over, and there are problems with the reservation system. And the problems, I've just jotted down some problems here. Number one is it limits the people that are allowed to play at any given time on any given day. Many of the reservation systems only allow you so many hours that week. For example, Fairhaven only allows you to sign up a maximum of 4.5 hours a week. And they limit you to an 1.5 hour time slot on any given day. So it doesn't work unless you have a group of people that you play with where you can have them extend your time slots. So you have a group of people going in at, say, 9 o'clock, and then somebody can add on an extra half hour, somebody else can add on another extra half hour. It limits any amount of people, and it limits the amount of socialization that comes along with playing pickleball. In addition to being a phenomenal way to exercise, it's really a great socialization. For somebody like myself, I suffered a traumatic brain injury back in 2015 from a really horrific car accident where we just now put in that new light at the corner of Hanson Sycamore. It allows me to go out and socialize with people that didn't know me before the car accident, so they don't know that I have a problem speaking and formulating my thoughts and getting up and talking in front of a group of people such as this. Another problem with the reservation system is people don't show up, is that you sign up for the court and then life gets in the way and they forget to take their name out, and that court stays empty because I can't go in and go to play because that court is taken. And it just doesn't work. Now, open play works well. Open play is done at Manahasset in Long Branch. It's done at Doorbrook. People show up. And what we do is you rotate depending on how many people play. You rotate in and you rotate out. Depending on how many people are waiting, usually rotate 2 people in, 2 people off, winner split. If there's a lot of people waiting, you rotate 4 on and 4 off. We never had a problem doing that at Wardell, and we played like that all summer long. We had people coming from all over the United States because they vacationed here at the shore. So I just wanted to say thank you again for doing it. I understand that the noise barrier systems are going to be going up. I think that's a really good thing because it'll also help cut down on the wind, because wind is definitely an issue when you're playing outside, as are the rest of the elements. It's great. And I just wanted to thank Tinton Falls for doing it. Thank you, Mayor, for being an advocate for it. It's wonderful. And it's a great park. It's just fantastic. So thank you all, and thank you for allowing me to speak.
Thanks so much, Beverly.
Thank you.
Appreciate all your comments. Does any other, yes, ma'am?
I'm just going to speak too. My name is Diane Lindy. I live at 152 Jumping Brook Road in Lincroft.
Okay.
I'm not a Tinton Falls resident, but I was told that's okay. Talking about the Wardell Park too, I just wanted to thank Tracy and Risa and Tom for all calling me back. You guys were amazing. You know, it was just so nice to talk to you, and you were so helpful. I just wanted to just put my 2 cents in too. I had recently retired as a Middletown teacher, and I thought retirement was going to be the worst thing ever. But then I discovered this pickleball through another retired friend, and I discovered all these people at Doorbrook Park, which was open play there, and I can't even believe, I was just telling a friend today, the amount of amazing people that I have met through this game. And then when Wardell opened, everybody started going there. We also, because my crew wanted to reserve spots indoors, so when you have reserved courts, you're playing with that same group of people all the time. What was so amazing about Wardell, because it is open play, you're meeting so many different people. And Beverly's right, I couldn't get over how well it worked out. Everybody put their paddles up, and as a newbie, I just took lessons in the spring. We would put our paddles up, and then if we would, you know, look at the court and say, oh my goodness, everybody's so good, that's going out, you could say pass. But then the people have been so amazing. They were like, well, don't just keep on passing. You're never going to get better unless you play with other people. So I can't get over the amount of supportive people that I met there. And it was just so nice to be able to mix with other people and not always play with the people that you reserved courts with. So if you would consider that when you're tossing around these. But again, thank you very much for your support.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Thanks so much, Ms. Lindy.
Yeah,
Mr.
if I
Fallon,
could,
did you
yeah,
want to
I'd just
come?
like to thank both Diane and Beverly for your comments and suggestions. We will certainly take them into account. I have my recreation director here, Sherry Eisel, so she's here as well, and she heard them as well. You know, when the engineering firm designed this park a few years ago, you know, we could not have imagined how successful and how much joy it's brought to a lot of residents and residents of the county. So certainly very, very successful in that end. As some successful things happen, you know, we run into issues that you have to deal with. Unfortunately, we did close the park for a couple of days to address multiple noise complaints, to get a plan and move forward with that plan. So we'll get it figured out, and I believe it's going in the right direction. And as far as your 8 p.m. request, we'll certainly take that into account. I was hoping to get those acoustical fences up first before we address the time. It was kind of like, you know, a reasonable compromise with the residents and with the pickleball players, so that we could, you know, we expect that to work really well. Our engineer vetted several companies, so again, we'll move forward the best that we can. Thank you.
Thanks, Mr. Fallon. Yeah, if you could, please. Just state your name and address for the record.
John Echevarrieta. I live on 6th Street Drive in Tinton Falls.
Hi there.
So I was just curious, is there a possibility the park will be closed again? Or we past that?
Mr. Fallon, not to my knowledge, Mr. Fallon.
I do not anticipate closing the park again.
Okay. So There's a park in Eatontown called Walcott Park. They also have pickleball courts there. And if you go over there, they're basically adjacent to people's backyard. And I'm not aware of any issues with noise there. So I guess what I'm asking is, do you feel that the complaints are legitimate complaints? Like it's really a quality of life issue, where as people are playing pickleball, it really is noisy?
Yeah, I guess noise affects everybody a little bit different. Some people have probably no problem with it, but others do. So certainly, we're going to take any quality of life complaint we feel that it's very important. So we're going to address the situation.
Could I ask a non-pickleball Tinton Falls related question while I'm up here?
Of course.
I live in Rose Glen, and I'm not sure if folks are familiar with the parking situation there.
Mhm.
Is there any update to actually approving additional parking spaces?
Tom, do you?
I'm not aware of that. I wish, our engineer is not present today, but he would certainly be able to answer your question. You
I
can get in
believe the
touch with him
plan
at any
that
time.
I
Well, I
believe
know it's under consideration, but it's been a couple of years, and I was just kind of wondering.
And
While I was
I
here,
could
I would
take your
ask.
name after the
Yeah, I was
meeting
just gonna
and
suggest
name and
that.
number, and I'll certainly have my engineer get back to you.
Yeah.
Okay,
All right, thank you.
What was your name again, so we can get it?
Are you going to be here for the whole meeting? Okay, I'll talk to you after the
What
meeting.
time's the meeting then?
Depends on how many people come up.
Depends on how long the public comments
You
are.
can always call me as well if you need to.
And what's your name?
My name's Tom Fallon. Thank you.
Thank you. Were there any other public comments from the floor? Yes, sir.
Sorry, Tom, don't do this to me, too. Tom O'Hara, 12 Preakness Court.
Hi there. Go ahead.
I'm a new pickleball player. I want to say you guys hit a home run with Wardell Park. I just took up the game. It's the only place I've played. You guys did a great job. I work in a neighboring town, and we're talking about pickleball, and I keep telling our elected officials and recreation staff, go to Wardell Park. This is what we want. I do have concerns about the reservation system as it came up. Like I said, I had no experience with any other locations and a reservation system, but the open play works great. You just show up and you get cycled in, and you might have to wait a little bit, but you know when your turn is coming. So I just hope that that's given some more consideration, and I don't know if any of you have been out on the courts, but everyone would love to see you there, and so you see what everybody's talking about. Thank you.
I think some of our council members got to work out on the day it was opened in 95-degree weather. Thank you, sir.
Definitely a good workout.
Yeah. Yeah, is there another comment from the floor?
Yes. In regard to Walcott Park in Eatontown.
Sorry, just for the record, this is,
My name, Beverly Grunsfelder.
Okay.
In regard to Walcott Park in Eatontown, I can tell you that the court surface is different. It is made up of recycled tires. We call it the Lego Park because it actually looks like Lego pieces. So it's very possible that the sound is slightly muffled when you play there because of the way that the ball bounces off of the paddle, the way that the ball bounces off of the court itself. So the court material, as it bounces off the playing surface, may muffle the sound. It does not, I know that there had been some discussion about different balls being used and different paddles being used. It doesn't work. They have tried it on other courts down in Stone Harbor, down in Avalon, New Jersey, to try to reinforce for noise ordinance issues the same type of thing. They also ended up just putting up the noise and wind barriers, and that ended up being a much better solution for the noise and the sound issues than having people have to play with the same type of sound reduction paddles, because not everyone is able to play with the sound reduction paddles. Pickleball is a sport just like tennis, when you find a paddle that you absolutely love, you're going to stick with it come death do you part. So that could be a reason why the Eatontown doesn't have as many noise complaints as, say, Tinton Falls did. So, just
Okay.
an FYI. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Were there any other comments from the floor? Okay, and I'll just ask the clerk, I think we had a couple of written comments. Oh, sure, go ahead.
Lisa Weinthal, 22 Maidenstone in Ocean. I just
Hi.
wanted to give, I just walked in late and I apologize, but I do want to say, first of all, thank you for the opportunity to be able to play in such amazing park facilities. I'm new to the game, started in June when you guys opened, and I can only give you the entire park, the full endorsement that the vision allowed for. You guys created an environment where not only do people from all over the county have the opportunity to play, but friendships have been formed, social activities are formed. There's a level of competition that just doesn't exist in a reservation system. The beginning players have now become intermediates, and the intermediates have become advanced, all because of this open play environment. People come far and wide to be able to play like this. I played in Bradley, I played in Manalapan, I played pretty much all over. So I can only continue to ask for your continued endorsement of the open play system. Hopefully at some point with, extending the hours to 8:30 would be helpful, because that last shot I made tonight was in the dark. So it is a limitation for those that work. There are plenty of us that are still working, and we do need to be able to have a facility that allows for something more than an hour or an hour and a half to play. So I ask for your continued support, and I hope that we can do that. Thank you.
Great, thanks so much. Now I'll ask the clerk to read any written comments that were submitted.
This was from Mary Danish at 25 Saratoga Court. She says, I live on Saratoga Court, and the back of my home faces the new Wardell Park. The park has pickleball courts. The people start playing at daylight, usually around 5:36 a.m. The ball hitting the paddle is so loud and repetitive that it wakes me up every morning, even with my windows closed and air conditioning on. This is unfair. I should be able to sleep in my own home and wake when I want to. This noise goes on all day long, and then I have music starts to blare and people shouting. I cannot even sit in my backyard and read or relax because it is too noisy. I no longer can relax in my own home. The noise and the nuisance is causing headaches, lack of sleep, irritation, stress, and frustration. I do not want to hear the bang, bang, bang of the ball all day long. Did anyone even think about the quality of life of the people who live in the area before they put pickleball courts so close to homes? I am a nurse and work well into the night. When I get home in the morning, I want to sleep, but it is no longer possible to sleep in my own home during the day. I had to leave my home and go elsewhere just to sleep. This is not right. On weekends, if not working, I would like to sleep past 5:30 a.m., now 6:30. If I am homesick, I would like to enjoy some quiet. It is no longer a quiet neighborhood. I can no longer enjoy my backyard or even my house without noise. The constant bang, bang, bang is exasperating. Speaking with those playing paddleball, they said they come here because the courts are local to them. We're closed down due to the noise complaints, so it is just not me. Some places require the paddles to be padded to help with the noise and had to build tall sound barriers. Where are our sound barriers? I have lived here for 19 years, paid my taxes, and had loved my home. It is just not fair what you have done to this peaceful community. What are your plans to help make the community livable and peaceful again? What is this borough doing to control the noise and the nuisance for local residents? And
That was the end of the first comment?
that's the end of the first comment.
Okay.
I have a second comment from a Gary Eichen, 31 Saratoga Court.
Okay.
It was nice that the borough put this park on Wardell Road. There are a few issues that need to be addressed. No one gave it any thought that the noise from the park would emanate through the woods to Saratoga Court and other nearby residents. The main noise is from the pickleball courts. It is a constant popping noise and loud players. With the nice weather, the pickleballers start at first light and continue into the evening. Once the lights come on, and the noise will continue later into the evening. I can't enjoy a cup of coffee on my patio or even sleep with my windows open due to the constant popping and loud players. This park has negatively affected the way of life in numerous residents. A suggestion would be to install sound barriers and have the players use padded paddles. There are no signs stating any hours of operation for the park. End of comment.
Thank you. Well, I certainly hope that the sound barriers will resolve
Yeah,
the...
I have communicated with both, because both of them had put complaints in through our resident complaint system as well. So I have communicated the borough's plan with both residents.
Okay.
And I heard back from one of them, and he was very satisfied with how we were moving forward.
And do you have an estimate as to when the sound barriers will arrive? I know you said they've been ordered.
They're going to arrive in about 3 to 4 weeks, and it'll probably take us just a couple of days to put them up. Our Public Works will be able to install them.
Okay. All right. Thank you. All right. Great. Hearing no further comments, may I have a motion to close the public comment portion?
So moved.
Thank you. May I have a second?
Second.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Great. Before we move on to resolutions, does any member of council have anything to add that they did not cover during reports? Okay. Seeing none, before we move on to the consent agenda, are there any items any member of council would like to be removed and voted upon separately? All right. Seeing none, may I have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
So moved.
Thank you. May I have a second?
Second.
Thank you. May I have a roll call, please?
Mrs. Clay?
Yes.
Mr. Manginelli?
Yes.
Mr. Nessie?
Yes.
Mr. Siebert?
Yes.
Ms. Buckley?
Yes. There is no executive session this evening, so this concludes today's business. May I have a motion to adjourn?
Motion.
Thank you. May I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
This meeting is now adjourned at 8:08 p.m. Thank you, everybody, and have a good evening.
Thank you. What's up, Kev? My daughter wants